Welcome to Week in Review. God has a heart for the lost. Jesus said he came to seek and save the lost. Not just save. You say, yeah, I know that. But you know what he said before? He came to seek them out. If you go to Luke 15, you'll see three parables. It's the only time I believe in the Gospels where you see like three straight parables. And they're both, all three of these, underscoring the theme. And what is the theme? A lost coin, a lost sheep, a lost son. That's the whole chapter. And that chapter is there. It's expressing the heart of God. Jesus gave his life to save people. And you know what? He uses us. Before he left, what did he say? All four of the Gospels end on that. As the Father has sent me, so send I you. Go into all the world and proclaim the gospel. Go into all the world, make disciples. Where does Acts pick up? They're wondering, is this going to be the end? Jesus left, but is this the end? Tell us about the end times. How many of us get into that? Oh, Jonathan Kahn, we got to learn more. And that can be real good, but you know what else? They were told very clearly, and the angels said, that's not for you to know the times or seasons, but bottom line, you have been called to be witnesses. And that was the reminder. And that's why even in the book of Acts, what did they declare? They said, Lord, grant to your servants to speak your word with all boldness. It takes courage. We feel inadequate, and that's why I do these like this. For this month, I want you to be able to be mesmerized, motivated, so that you'll share the gospel with fresh enthusiasm. And you don't have to know everything about it. You can just go to Loving Lifestyle Evangelism on the internet. No password, no subscription, no have to pay. These were 5. They're fun. They're engaging videos to serve you and to equip you so you'll share your faith with consistency. Now, I want to share with you jaw-dropping testimonies because people say, well, my brother could never be reached. I don't see how my sister or this guy and that. No. God so loved the world, he sent his son. And he seeks out lost people, and he wants to do it through people just like you. I was in a particular place, get this, and I turned and I looked, and there was from 60 Minutes, probably now their chief anchor, Scott Paley. You ever see him? Guess what? I said, oh, hi. And you got to be sensitive. You don't blast people. You don't get in their face and that because, paparazzi, and they can be apprehensive. But you know what? I was able to talk with him, and guess what I was able to give him? I took my testimony track, and I was able to give it to him. And I asked permission, and I engage with people. I take an interest. When I walk every day, I walk 30 minutes in a mall every day. And when I see somebody got, A on there for maybe Atlanta Braves or Alabama Roll Tide or, Auburn War Eagle, that's a connecting point. That's a way to talk. Or a mother has a baby. I'll stop. I'll say, excuse me, how old's the little one? With a smile. Ladies are so happy. Oh, yeah, they're glad. They don't say, how dare you look at my baby. And you talk. Say, is this your first? I strike up conversation. I'm sensitive to time, just like when you go in a restaurant. You are generous with a tip. You learn the name of the person. They're not a robot. They're not an impersonal person. You can say, hey, Maria, and you're kind. I will ask for the manager. I do this all the time. Have you ever been with me? And I'll say, hey, what's your manager's name? And I'll say, tell him I'd like to talk to him for a minute, but don't tell him why. The manager will come over, apprehensive, a little stiff, afraid I'm going to give a complaint. I say, no complaint, but you know what? Maria, the waitress, she did a great job. Well, when Maria comes back, it's a good tip and all that. Do you think she's favorably disposed to take my little testimony tract that I hand her? You bet. Thank you. They'll say, oh, you didn't have to do that. And then don't be cheap. Give a generous tip. And there's times that I've talked with people and I've actually prayed with the waitress right at the table. Now, I want you inspired, and I want you to be equipped on this. Let me give you some more divine appointments that I've had, and I try to share with others. Now, if you think about this one, people sometimes say movie stars, celebrities. I have a relative that was in an airport, and whammo, there was Bill Clinton standing there. Whoa! You say, what? How did that happen? Well, you know what? I write these down because I can forget these so quickly, and I'll forget. I was in an airport ready to get in Atlanta, and I looked to my left. Who was standing right next to me? Boop! Hank Aaron. He was at that time the all-time great home run hitter. He's an icon, a hero. Now he recently went to be with the Lord. But I was able to connect with him. You say, well, Larry, how did that happen? Well, the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. Ephesians chapter 2 tells us this. You know what it says? It says that we are saved by grace, not through faith, and not by good works. And then it goes on to say this: we are his poem, his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto what? Good works that God prepared in advance that we walk in them. There it is. I was at a place, and there was a woman who died recently. Do you remember from Planned Parenthood, Cecile Richards? Maybe you said, oh my, I prayed for that woman for years. And she was the president. She died of breast cancer. Allegedly, that's what I read. But you know what? I went there. I was able to go back. I'm polite. I talk with somebody. And I was able to say, here, would you give this to Cecile Richards, to pass it on? There she had the gospel shared with her. Here's a good one, too. I put this one down. There was a football player in the D.C. area. If you're a football fan, you may remember when the Redskins 4 times out of 10 went to the Super Bowl. Joe Gibbs, committed Christian. They had so many great Christians. I had the privilege to speak to them at the chapel service the night before game. But there was one guy, and guess what? John Riggins. And John was the hero of a Super Bowl. But guess what? I was at the Redskins football game, because when I'd speak to the chapel, they give me free tickets. And guess what? I want to tell you this one, so you don't think I bat 100. I mean, bat 1,000. I saw him in the men's room. As we came out, I talked to him. But when I reached to try, and I said, John, it's an honor. I said, here's a little something. I told you, can I pass this along? It's an inspiration. It's my spiritual journey. He said, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. And he didn't want it. I tried. I said, you sure? He said, no, I don't want it. So I want you to know I do have times where people don't receive it. All right, let me give you another one. I think this is a good one. Terry Bradshaw, football player, remember? Pittsburgh Steelers, announcer on TV. You ever watched Terry? I walked in, and here he was flipping through some magazines. I talked to him, and I was able to give him my testimony track. You say, Larry, how does this happen? Are you prepared? Are you praying? And are you expecting divine appointments? Okay, I'm going to give you one more. This, oh man, I got so many of these things. I was at my grandson's baseball game years ago, and I was looking. The guy looked familiar. Next day, he was back, and he was getting a picture taken with some boy in a wheelchair. I struck up a conversation with him. This was years ago. It was the quarterback from Alabama, Jalen Hurts. You say, yeah, wasn't he the MVP in the Super Bowl this past year? Yes, he was. Well, guess what? I talked with him. I gave him my track. I even have a picture with him. But that was my opportunity. That was years back. Now I know he's a born-again Christian. I don't know the story. Was I the first to share with him? Was I reinforcing something with him? Was I the 5th or 6th? They say sometimes church growth, people say people can have up to 7 contacts with the gospel before they're genuinely responsive and converted. But that was a divine appointment. I was ready, and I want you to be ready. Let's do it.
Hey friends, if you felt this video was helpful, make sure you like and subscribe so you get notified once new videos become available. Thanks.